Hello hobbyists and welcome to this week's video at Hobbytime at Healys. Thank you very much for tuning in. As the title suggests, this week I'm going to try and start something which I'm going to be dubbed as the Warhammer Tag. Basically what I'll be doing is I'm going to be going through 10 questions that I've chosen and basically showing you a little bit about me, and also I'm going to be trying to see if I can get this rolling. I'm fairly new to the community and I would like to expand and meet lots of other people. So, grab yourself a nice cuppa and let's dive on in. And welcome back. So, as we said before, this is going to be a bit of a different video. So, as I said, I'm fairly new to the community and I really want to expand and throw myself out there and basically get to know people and see what everybody else is like. So I thought I've seen a few people do this for various other channels like beauty bloggers and things like that, and I thought I would give it a go and try and start off basically a tag. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be answering 10 questions that I've picked, and then at the end of the video I'm going to be tagging a bunch of sort of YouTubers and content creators whose stuff I really like, and a few kind of out there who may or may not respond, and I want to see if they will answer the questions and post a video to it as well. I want to see how far I can get this going. So let's dive straight in with question number 1. So number 1 is nice and easy. Basically I would like to show you, or you to show us, your first ever model, or your oldest model if your first model is not available, and then compare it to your most recently completed model. So for example, I'm going to show you mine right here. So this guy right here is one of my first models. Now, it's not my first ever model, I have to admit. My first ever model was an old Necron, which unfortunately I've misplaced. And that was way back when the first Necron Codex came out, so quite a while ago. Now this was one of the basically standard, almost like easy build models that you used to get when you go into a store. And when I first got into the hobby, I was absolutely obsessed with the Death Guard. But I also love the colour purple, so I kind of had a go. This thing was painted with Humbrol acrylic paints, and that is not green stuff, that is blue tack that I'd painted over. But he has carried on with me, I always have him on my hobby shelf to kind of give me an idea of where I came from to where I am now, and I love it, and I think it's a great little memento. Now, if I compare him to my most recently finished model, and my most recently finished model was actually a Necron Night Scythe, but I thought I would scale it back to the one I finished just before then, which was my Necron Lord, as it's a similar size. And this guy here is from my most recent project, which is as you can tell, it is Necrons. Now, I really always loved these guys. They were my first ever army I picked up, and then I stopped playing for a few years, and I got back into the hobby when the first hardback codexes came out. But Necrons have always been one of those projects where I would have never wanted to get to them until I'd really built myself up to a stage where I would be happy and confident. And this is where I'm at now. So as you can see, I've gone for a white sort of ceramic-esque armour with a blue gorse and a few copper highlights. But that's my comparison there, so I hope you like them. So as I said, so question number 1 is, I'd like you to show me your oldest or first model and compare it to your most recently completed one. Now for question number 2, I'm going to stick with the painted models, and what I would like you to show me would be, I want you to show me the model that you are most proud of in your collection. It doesn't have to be the best thing you've ever painted, but a model that you're most proud of, that you look at and you think, yeah, I'm really happy with that. And also, I would like you to show me one of your older models that you wish you could repaint, or even just any model that you think, I wish I could have another go at that. So for me, I'm going to show you my model I'm most proud of personally, and that is my Phobos Captain here for my Angel Sanguine. Now, this was the first time I'd really sort of painted a model, and I'd shown a few people, and they sort of said, wow, like, your painting has really stepped up and you're doing really well. Don't get me wrong, there's so many better painters out there than me, but this was one of the few times I've looked back and I've sat back and looked at a model and gone, yeah, actually I'm really happy with this. I love it on the tabletop. I think I'm just so proud of it. It's a very simple conversion where I chopped the helmet off the waistband, popped a Blood Angel's helmet on top, and just went with the halved theme and just kind of spent a good few hours across a few days just sat dedicated to this model, and I really enjoyed it. Now in terms of one model that I wish I could repaint, so I'm going to stick with my Angel Sanguine and I'm going to show you this guy. Now this dusty old Terminator here has been sat on my shelf for some time. And this guy basically was my first attempt at doing the Angel Sanguine in kind of a speed painting way, where I sprayed it white, I painted on some Abaddon Black on the one side, and for the other side I went over it with the Blood for the Blood God Technical to try and see what the effect gave, and then dry brushed over the black with silver and gold over the Blood for the Blood God. Now, at the time I was super happy and I was like, yeah, this looks great, and in hindsight, looking back, I really wish I could strip this down and reuse it. But they came out with new kits for the Blood Angels Terminators since, obviously the Assault ones, which are just far more detailed. But again, I like to keep this guy on the side, just to kind of go, you know what, one day I will strip it back and give it a good go. And it just really makes me smile. And if I compare it to my most recent Angel Sanguine, again, it just makes me happy to realise that if you stick with it, doesn't matter if it's a few years or a few months, or some people pick it up at different rates, is that you do get to a stage where you can really be happy with what you do. So that's it for question number 2. Now for question number 3. Now for this one, what I would like to know is, what is your favourite piece of lore or story from the Warhammer universe? And also, what your favourite faction is. So that could be faction, warband, chapter, looking across Age of Sigmar all the way through to 40k or anything in between. So starting off with my favourite piece of lore was actually a story, and it was the Black Library's book Fulgrim. Now, I absolutely loved this. Well, when I first read it, I just couldn't put it down. And it's one of the few times I've ever gone back to a book and reread it and had the audiobook so I could listen to it as well. I think just the detail Graham McNeil goes into about everything going on and Fulgrim's descent into chaos is just phenomenal, and it's written so beautifully. And I would recommend, if you haven't already read this or listened to the audiobook, definitely do it, because they are fantastic and I really, really like them. And in terms for my favourite faction, it's a little bit of a tie because I really couldn't decide between them. So obviously, as you've seen, I do my Angels Sanguine for my Blood Angels, and I love their story because they never remove their helmets, and they're very almost like a little bit secretive about it, but it gives me some great fun to do some conversions. But also it has to be the Emperor's Children from 40k as well, because just again, it all ties into my favourite book, obviously Fulgrim there, and how they all just sort of link in and they just descend into that chaos from such a point of perfection. So that's it for question number 3. Now for the next question, what I would like to know is how or what or who got you into the hobby and what first attracted you to it? For me, it was actually quite simple. So a few of my friends basically talked about it, and I never really sort of saw the time. I didn't really have much money, and it wasn't something I could just. My nearest Games Workshop was actually sort of a bus ride away for about an hour, so it wasn't something I could easily go to and pick up. So, and this all stemmed from actually my love of the Dawn of War games from sort of Relic Entertainment. They literally got me so engrossed in it, and I thought it was fantastic right the way through. I mean, Dark Crusade was by far one of my favourite expansions on that game, which it introduced obviously the Necrons, which first really gathered my attention to kind of go, oh, these look great, these robots, these almost Terminator style guys who can get back up again. I just thought it was fantastic, and it really gripped me. It was a few years later that I actually then went to my local Games Workshop. I had a part-time job in sort of a local restaurant and finally a little bit of money, and I bought my first blister pack, which was the Necron Pariahs, and I just, from then, I never really looked back. I mean, there was a time where later on in my education and things like that where I didn't really have time to get into the hobby, and I really came back to it again with some friends, the stage when it was the hardback codexes were coming out. So I picked up the Chaos Space Marine Codex, a good friend of mine picked up the Dark Angels Codex, and we split the Dark Vengeance box. I picked that, and that was it. We've kind of been in it since. Now moving on to the next question. So we're halfway now, and what I would like to know is, if money was no object and you had all the time in the world to dedicate to it, what project would you like to start? Now, I'm looking at anything across all of the games here, so whether it's something Age of Sigmar, there's a kill team you really want to do, but it's requires lots of expensive conversions, whatever it is. For me personally, I would like to start a Horus Heresy army. It's a tie again between some of the Emperor's Children, or go something completely different and go for like White Scars or Ultramarines. Basically, any Horus Heresy army where I could really dive in, rebuild on it, get some of the models sort of from Forge World, do some cool sort of conversions, and focus on those the Marines from that era. I think it would be fantastic. That's my project. If I could throw in a few bits and bobs in there, like a Titan, why not? If money's no object, that for me is what I would like to do. For the next question, I would like to know if you could upgrade or update any kit from any of the Warhammer ranges. So again, going all the way back to Fantasy through to the latest Warhammer 40k kits. If you could pick one and update it to the standard that we're seeing the new kits coming out for 9th, like the Necrons and the Primaris Space Marines, what kit would it be and why? Now for myself, I think I've made it pretty clear where some of my passions lie, and that's definitely with the Emperor's Children. And I would love to see the upgrade sprue changed up and actually a full plastic Noise Marine kit come out. There was obviously the special edition Noise Marine that was released a little while ago, but obviously he's there with the guitar and obviously the Blastmaster-esque style weapon that he's using it as. But I would love to see a full kit, and I think it would just be brilliant to see what sort of little touches and adornments they would make onto that and change. Just for me personally, I think that would be fantastic. Moving on to question 7, what I would like to know for this one would be, what are you most looking forward to in the next 12 months from the hobby? I think we're at a really pivotal time now where we have a new edition. It's very honed down into the rules. It's very specific, which is great. It just means there's going to be hopefully less arguing on the tabletop between players and at tournaments and things like that. What I would love to see is more painted armies on the tabletop and some fantastic new kits. And I really want them to push the community and get some fantastic sort of events going. And I know it's difficult with the state of the world at the moment, but hopefully in the next 12 months we'll get back to that stage where we can all meet up at events and have some great fun. Things like Warhammer Fest, the LVO, Adepticon, all these events I'm hoping are going to come back. For me, that's what I'm looking forward to in the next 12 months and would love to see. For question 8, so slightly stepping back from all the Warhammer questions here, I'd like to know if you could pick any fictional or fantasy universe out there to create a tabletop miniatures game for, what universe would it be and why? Now for me, I could go into so many different video games that I'd love to see things for. Some sort of Legend of Zelda tabletop game would be brilliant. The old Blood Omen games, obviously with the vampires and Legacy of Kain, things like that. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that already has some fantastic sort of miniatures games that I'm interested to get involved in, such as like Star Wars Legion, the Elder Scrolls Skyrim Call to Arms, things like that. But for me personally, I would love to take the Mass Effect universe and whack that onto a tabletop. I think you've got so many brilliant races and factions out there. You could have some brilliant things. You start off obviously with the Alliance, obviously broken into its individual sub-factions, and you can have anything all the way through to the Reapers coming down. I think there's so much lore in those games and such great settings and things that you could do. Again, the narrative gameplay from that would be fantastic. I'm not sure how it would work on the tabletop, but I think it would be brilliant, and I would love for somebody to take that on and give it a go. And I think, again, similar to Warhammer, there's so much good lore you could dive into, and with the abilities that miniatures are coming out such high quality detail. Some of the fantastic clear sort of plastic for the Omni blades and things like that. I just think that for me would be great. It would be one of those moments where I'm literally Fry from the meme going like, "Shut up and take my money!" That would be one of those that I would be really excited for. So that would be it. So the Mass Effect universe as a tabletop game would be awesome. For the penultimate question here, it's a little bit of a triple threat, this one. What I would like to know is for you to tell us an interesting fact that we may not know about yourselves. I would also like you to tell us what your channel is about and why that we should subscribe. Now, in terms of an interesting fact, I think people can have a great amount of fun with this. For myself, I wasn't quite sure what to do, but my interesting fact is that I once, when I was much younger, was an extra in a film where I was about 5 feet away from Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. That's my interesting fact. So if you ever catch the end scene of a film called Eyes Wide Shut and see a very chubby kid with a bowl cut playing with a bubble gun, that is me, which is really cool. So that's my only claim to fame, slight claim to fame there. But that's my interesting fact. In terms of the channel, this is basically all about wargaming and hobbies. I am very much the sort of hobbyist who, I'm sometimes a bit like a magpie. I go, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? I've dabbled in a lot of things over the years, from trading cards all the way obviously through to miniatures and video games and the like. And for me, I just really wanted a place where I could, share some of the things that I've learned, show off some kits and models, throw out a few tips, and even things from doing unboxings. This is just a place for me to kind of share my hobby experience with yourselves, and hopefully help some people on the way who may be looking into embracing their nerdy hobbyisms that not necessarily a lot of people tend to do. I know I was very shy about it when I was a lot younger, and it wasn't until sort of I was probably about 19 or 20 when I actually sort of really embraced sort of myself as, when people say, oh, what did you get up to at the weekend? I wouldn't awkwardly shy away and be sort of like, oh, nothing much. I would be like, oh, I painted, a bunch of models for my Warhammer hobby, and now people are very like, oh, what's that like? And I just think it's a great time to really sort of be open and honest about who you are, and to share that experience on my journey with yourselves. That's what this channel's about. And every now and again I'm funny, hopefully anyway. I can try and make you laugh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And why you should subscribe. Now for this, it's just if you're interested in just watching some videos, basically hanging out with it. I'm going to be showing off kits, sets, things like that to kind of give you an idea of what's in the boxes, showing you hopefully some tips as we go on, some painting tips I've learned, building tips, deck building if I go into trading cards, just general things like that. I think if you're interested in sharing this hobby experience, or if you like to have something on in the background when you're painting, or you want to sit and you watch something, I'm aiming to put out one video a week and one stream on my Twitch as well, and you're just looking for something to have on, I think that's why you should subscribe, to get out there and realise that there are people who are as into this hobby as you are, who can be as casual and dip in and out at the same time, and just share this experience. Again, that's really why I would like people to subscribe to the channel, to share this hobby journey with me. Now for the final question here. Now this one, you can go into this as much as you would like, but for me, I would like people to say, what message would you like to put out to the community? And this is like, the Warhammer community, hobbyist community, miniatures community, whatever, content creator community, whatever community that we're kind of aiming this at. What message you would like to put out there? And for me, my message is for kind of everybody, but mainly encompassing the Warhammer community. And it's a two-part thing. And the first part would be embrace who you are. Really, don't be afraid to turn around and say, hell yeah, I play Warhammer. I paint miniatures. It's an art form. It's fantastic. It's such a creative way to get out there and get your juices flowing. I know I'm very fortunate to know so many people who have really dive into this hobby. I've met friends for life. It's helped people, come out of their shell who normally would be very private, very quiet. And also so many people who have made a living out of it. Like, show that you can do something you're passionate about and make it into your job, and there's so much out there that people can do. So embrace your hobbyism, be proud of your interests, and don't shy away. And if somebody turns around and says, hey, what did you get up to at the weekend? Don't, be that 16-year-old version of me rubbing my hands and going, oh, nothing really, didn't much. Turn around and go, yeah, I painted a bunch of Warhammer, or no, I built a bunch of models. Hell, I stayed up till 3 in the morning hanging out with my friends playing trading cards or throwing dice, whatever it is. Just embrace who you are. And in terms of, as well, for the Warhammer community as well, and the people out there, would be just chill out. It's, just kind of relax. I see so many comments on Facebook posts, Twitter feeds, things like that, and even on YouTube, where people have just are really negative about the content people are putting out there, and what's coming from Games Workshop, or what third parties are doing. And this hobby is fun, is meant to be fun and enjoyable. I mean, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I would say have your opinion as constructive. Definitely don't turn around and just bash people just because you can't think of anything to say, or through jealousy or envy. Just be that ambassador, be that person who, when you got into the hobby, who turned around and was like, hey, what you doing there? Oh, do you want me to show you some tips? And that person who kind of really made you first feel at home, be that person. Don't be the person in the room who is, oh, that's not right. Oh, that conversion's not very good. Oh, you've got those wings on backwards. oh, you've got that. Don't be that person in any way. Just be an ambassador for your hobby and be inviting, but most of all, be positive. So, and thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've all enjoyed this. What I'll be doing is I'll be putting the 10 questions below in the description. I'll be putting them out on my Twitter, I'll be putting them out on my Instagram, and I will be tagging people and hoping they will respond. Like I said, I'm just looking, for this I'm looking to try and expand my knowledge of the community out there. My experiences so far have all been majoritively positive, and I would love to extend that, meet some people who like me, are just content creators and want to share their hobby journey, and you know, and I want to grow from that and meet all those people out there. I hope that the people I've tagged take part in this. I know there's a few big reaches out there, and a few people who may be a bit too busy, but I'm, like I said, fingers crossed we can get some people responding. And also as well, if I haven't tagged you and you want to pick this up, feel free to do it. Please, I ask you put a link to this video, the one that's hopefully started it all, just so everybody can kind of follow the chain. But beyond that, hey, if you want to answer the questions, whack them in the comments, respond on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. And anyway, I'll be doing a Twitch stream every Sunday for like a hangout and chat for the foreseeable future. So hit me up on Twitch as well if you want to come and join in and chit chat. It's me and a few friends doing some hobby. But otherwise, I would like to say thank you very much, stay safe out there, and remember folks, stay positive and be an ambassador for the hobby. So, without further ado, these will be the list of people I'm going to tag off the back of this video. Within, hopefully you'll pick up the tag and respond to it, and you'll pop a video out there so we can get to know you a little bit more and you can answer these questions. And what I would like everybody to do is, if you do decide to do this, first off, thank you. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. I would ask that you pop the link to this video in your description and tag 2 other fantastic content creators whose stuff you love, and we can hopefully keep this chain going and to showcase some of the amazing content creators we have out there in the community. Now, some of these people are obviously quite big names, so I'm kind of hoping, definitely hoping that a few will respond. And a lot of them people who I've followed on Instagram, who then have channels and kind of dive into things that way. So yeah, so without further ado, so I'd like to start with the Bold Bear, Frosts and Fists, War Hipster, Castle Brush, Dana Howell, Sword and Steel. One local to myself, just down the road, Glasshammer Gaming. I know mainly you do battle reports, but I'd love to see you answer some of these questions, Manny. Miniac, going bigger and bigger as we go up the list. Goobertown Hobbies, Squidmar Miniatures, Tabletop Minions, and I'm going to end on one of the biggest names, I think, for me personally, in the community, and that's Duncan Rhodes. I would love for you to do this video. I would love everyone to do this video and tag 2 people or 2 content creators whose content they love, and we can spread this, the word, and spread this tag. So to everyone I've just named, tag, you're it. Let's get this going.